Hi, Dr. Bo here. Just working on my buddy here. This is my favorite structure, and you can see how this can easily get tight here with this diaphragm lies across here. And I say it over and over and over again. I can't say it enough because I spend most of my life when patients come in, they go, "Doc, it hurts down there, it hurts down there. Why are you working up here? Why are you working down here?" Well, I work above and below. That's my little secret to take the pressure off. This is usually where we see all the DJD or degeneration or discs herniating and all. So the way we help this part of the spine, what you say it all with me now, is to loosen the diaphragm area, and we'll come in with our elbow and try to work this. Usually we'll find knots on this left side. You can reach back behind you, put your hand flat on your wife's back or your husband's back or whatever, and you'll feel the left side sticking out. Get them in here. Let's work on that. We have exercises that do not really exercise, but there's foam wedges and all we put in there to help mold that, because after that gets loosened, you have to put them on a molding device to help hold that. If it's really bad, they have a place called Scoliosis Roll, which is a Scoliosis Roll type brace that they can put on patients who have real bad scoliosis. But most of the time, we just put a wedge under here to push that spine and hold that like that. And of course, that stretches this, right? And this gets contracted. This is already stretched out from the fall. So this has to be stretched. And we found that has to be stretched for how long? Well, we found that the ligament in the back has to be held, stretched like that for 20 minutes to get that ligament to do a thing called ligament creep. So the ligament, it can be stretched just like a piece of elastic, that's going to cause a stretch, but it's not going to change the microscopic fiber in the ligament. Those ligaments need to be held, and they found that to change the tendon systems and the tendon sensors, the Golgi tendon organs, has to be held. They used to tell us it was 10 minutes, 50, 40 years ago. And now it's 20 minutes. They found the optimum time. And that's why patients come in, and I'll put them in a foam brace or have them lay on a pillow, whatever, like Dr. Mondragon's stretch device. And you can have that done for 15 minutes, and that's when they want to get off. At 15, "Doc, all I could do is 15 minutes. I couldn't take it any longer." And guess what happens at 15 minutes? That's when the ligament is finally going to do a thing called creep, which means up to that point, the ligament's just like stretching. And finally, around 15 minutes, the ligament the fibers start to move like that, and that's called creep. The ligament actually creeps at its molecular level. And that's has to happen, guess what, between 15 and 20 minutes. So when do most people come off the wedges and come off the stretching devices? 15 minutes, because that's when it's really starting to become uncomfortable. But that's when you're finally getting to the stretch. So stay there up to that 20-minute level, time it. When I give you a subscription to do 20 minutes on a certain device that stretches you a certain way, they're fancy foam devices that are made like in the inverse of your spine. So you make a device that's got, let's say that's the proper curvature. Well, the device is that shape, and it goes in here and it reshapes the back to a positive using an inverse pillow that's developed out of its negative. I know it sounds too complicated, but it's very simple. You put it in here, and the anterior longitudinal ligament has to stretch. That's the big enemy. Dr. Harrison taught me that years ago. God bless Dr. Harrison. He's a great teacher. But basically, you put the patient on that stretch, and he told me you had to put them there for 20 minutes. And that's where they start to scream at 15 minutes, and they have to try to make it through. And then all of a sudden, around 20 minutes, what happens? The ligament creeps. And finally, some relief and some permanency happens to the ligament stretching. And you end up holding that curvature. And that's what you have to do. You can't just, unfortunately, well, that has to be done because these joints are stuck, usually when we first see a patient. So we have to do these things called adjustments. And I hear, let's talk about coming in to see a chiropractor a lot for how many visits. And we'll talk about that in the next one. Take care, like and subscribe.